responsibilities. MRCY, Mercury Systems, receives $11.6 million order for digital signal processing subsystems for airborne ISR application. That's Michael Romeo Charlie Yankee.
All right, let me do a sound check. I'm still new at this YouTube live thing, but I'm trying to crank out my list for tomorrow. So let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm trying to figure out how many people are even in here. Yes and yeah. Thanks, Doug. Oh, there it is. I found the number. Thanks. All right. Anyway, I thought I would do my watch list for tomorrow, get it ready. If you joined me last time, I built a watch list. Hey, Nick. I actually know that guy. The YouTube live thing is kind of new for me because I've really struggled with it until somebody told me to use Google Hangouts or something like that. And I think I got it now. So anyway, so if you weren't here last time, what I generally do is start with the list I had last night, and I just go through all of them and see if any of them are still relevant. And I kind of already started doing that, and I think I still have the list in front of me. I'll just rip through that real quick. So TIS, I actually put back on the list for tomorrow because, it had that inside day, and it was actually pretty darn strong today. I mentioned it in chat. I didn't take it, but I mentioned it on a possible opening range breakout down here, which would have been 213, and it ended up going over 280. So big miss there, but it's strong enough that I still think it's worth watching tomorrow. As I'm babbling, by the way, if anyone has any questions or comments, feel free. I'll glance at chat every now and then while I'm doing this. Hang on one second here. Letting everybody know in chat, in case anybody wants to join. So TIS will be back on the list. It's not, I don't look at that chart and say, hey, that's an amazing chart, we got to watch it tomorrow. But at the same time, over 15 million shares 3 sessions ago, then an inside day, and now it's progressing up again. So that one makes the list. IFMK, I know these charts are kind of delayed. I don't know if the voice and chart are delayed together or if there's a delay between the two. IFMK traded 43,000 shares today. So even though the chart is interesting, you had this pop, then a lower high and kind of flagging, it's just no volume. I mean, it might be worth putting on a spare monitor somewhere that you rarely look at. And if volume comes in, it might be worth it. But otherwise, come on, 43,000. So that's this dead market we're in right now. It's August trading, right? TRUE, this one, yeah, I like this one. You had the big pop here, 1, 2, you got 3 lower highs, a little bit of a bottoming tail today. Let's go to 5-minute candle. So it sold off initially, came up briefly, took out the high of day. I wouldn't have taken this high of day break because of what we call Rule 29 from our trading course. It had come too far to get there, so there's no way I'm taking it. This is another just good indicator of how choppy things are, right? Takes out the highs, goes almost back to the lows. And I mean, and then these things are taking like 2 or 3 hours to make significant moves. That's not my kind of trading. I like getting long right at inflection points and that sort of thing. So still worth watching tomorrow. I like it. It's kind of flagging here after the big breakout. TRUE. All right, TAIT. This thing had no volume. This was on the watch list because if you watched my video last night, you know that I saw this thing getting a little bit of volume in after hours last night, right? So I thought, well, maybe this is going to be a gap and go setup. So we log in this morning and it traded, I don't know, by the open, I don't know, 15, 20,000 shares. So not enough volume for me to play it as a gap play. And then here's the opening 5-minute candle, right? Look at the volume, 7,000 shares. Then 3,000, then 3,000. So, and look at, there's gaps. It looks like paint splatter. It doesn't look like candles. So nobody's watching this thing. And then all of a sudden, some ass clown who runs a chat room says, hey, this just showed up on my Momo scanner. Everybody in this room chases it. He makes money and everyone else gets their ass handed to him. There was no trade there. That's just irresponsible. And, a big volume for this stock, 348,000. It almost never hits a million. It hit. So I'm going to leave it alone, especially after seeing that today. NSYS was on the list. Also, this is kind of a good way to gauge a market. I'm noticing a lot of stocks that I have on my gap play list one morning, a lot of them are just ending up just like this, right? They gap up and then a solid red candle. I've already erased my gap play list from this morning. Let's see if I can go to the chat room and figure out what I had on watch. Hang on a second here. There it is. All right, so here's my gap playlist. I'd already erased it, but I'll just rip through that real quick too. So AWX, I'm still on the overnight list. AWX, I'm going to put on long watch. I think it's still worth watching. I'll zoom in a little. I'll go to 15-minute candles. Never broke its opening 15-minute high, which was about equivalent to yesterday's high. So it is interesting over 4.5. It's holding up fairly well. So that one goes on watch list for tomorrow. A couple more from the overnight list. Boot, nothing interesting there at all to me. And then XBIO, nothing. You've got what was an attempted breakout of this range on big volume 2 sessions ago. Then 2 sessions right back into that range, right back into the old range. It might bounce tomorrow. You could argue that it's back into support. And I think it's probably worth, and I'm going to put it on a chart on a different monitor, but it's not going to make my list, but it's worth having on a monitor tomorrow. How's that? And then let's rip through the morning gap play list from today. There's another example. Staff, gaps up. And then you got a solid red candle all the way back down. Shorts are winning these, right? Bears are winning these gap plays, these low price, cheap stocks that I can generally make really nice money on. Shorts are jumping all over these and they're winning. You can kind of get a feel for, the market mood when you look at your morning gap plays at the end of the day and see how they all fared, right? NEPT was on the gap playlist. That one is actually, I'm putting that on my overnight list. Overnight meaning I'm going to watch it tomorrow. Doesn't mean I'm holding overnight. Nice volume today. Kind of breaking a trend line or trying to break it. If you can picture a trend line from here to here to here, it's trying to break it. All the pot stocks got a pop today. I'll talk about that in a minute. NSYS, another gap play that failed. I didn't trade it, but I mean another stock that was on my gap play list that just sold off. Never gave me any kind of entry. I already talked about TAIT, another one. TLRY. Certainly interesting. If you take today's candle out of it, this thing was rolling over and just getting killed. And then the pot stocks, no pun intended, catch fire today because of CGC. And this one closed, topped out right at that whole number divisible by 10, which even kind of makes it more powerful. Certainly worth watching. I would point out that this is kind of a nasty trader. It's pretty whippy, but certainly worth watching for. Maybe a red to green or something like that tomorrow. All right, so that's TLRY. No, I said next time I go on YouTube, or one of these times when I go on YouTube Live, I'm going to do it as a happy hour and get hammered. I'm not drinking right now, so just so you know, this is not meant to be a happy hour. I just thought I would, since I'm jumping right after the market closes, jumping right into my watch list. I thought I would just do it live. So LMFA is another one, gapped up. It was pretty interesting, pops and then reverses. So again, shorts are winning these. It's a low volume summer environment, and it's important to recognize patterns, right? And so when and people in chat will tell you, when I build a morning gap playlist, I'm very kind of just talk about it like I'm bored with it, because I am. I don't trust any of them, so I'm really not getting heavily involved in morning gap plays. All right. So here's my list real quick that I've got so far. JD, I had in my notes, and this is one of those that I noticed it today. And so whenever I notice something and say, hey, that might be worth watching tomorrow, I always make a point to write it on that my one watch list page, so I'll remember by the end of the day. Because a lot of times, as I said yesterday, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, by the closing bell. So I try to write stuff down, and this one's pretty interesting. I mean, it's kind of got that downside shape, but closing strong today. So I'll just be looking for a potential follow through on that kind of intraday bounce. So that one goes on, bounce watch. I'm going to glance at the weekly. It's hitting the 200 week. I don't give a lot of weight to that, but anyway, the fact that it closed green after getting pretty beat up for the last few days, might portend a follow-through day. And you kind of have an intraday from today, an intraday cup and handle. So certainly worth watching. That's JD. NEPT, I already talked about this. Nice volume. And real quick, just to show you what all the, I typed that wrong, CGC, to show you what all the pot stocks are popping on. Constellation Brands, which is STZ, I believe, right? Cancel that. Took a stake, I think, in CGC. I didn't read the minutia of the report, but look at the big volume, 35 million shares in CGC and closing near its highs, and a lot of people are opining that it's a big deal, and the pot stocks might rally off that, and that is actually what popped TLRY today also. So those are probably all worth watching again tomorrow. NEPT is one that kind of coming off of chart lows, kind of breaking a trend line. So it's one that's kind of interesting to me. So that's the one I have chosen. But you could watch any of them. NEPT. I don't trade. A lot of them are over the counter, and I don't trade over the counter. We don't allow those in the chat room, so just be aware of that. Okay, HTGM is in my notes. Had the nice pop and then a few days lower, but also it's getting a little action in after hours, trading at 346, which isn't a big pop. Trading right up here, but I think it's worth watching. I mean, I kind of had it in my notes the other day to watch for a pullback, and it certainly had the pop and is pulling back on lower volume. I don't know if the after hours thing, little activity means anything, but I am putting HTGM on watch for tomorrow. PTIE, by the way, really nice one today, big volume, 18 million shares, and it ran from 121 to 234. I actually called this in chat this morning as a possible red to green, which is on 2 minute. I always watch my morning gap plays on 2-minute candles. And so this sold off on the opening candle. When it looked like this, I said over the microphone, I'm always live on the mic in chat, I said, red to green on PTIE, or let me rephrase that. PTIE might go red to green here with another catalyst, which would be a high of day break, just a couple pennies above. And man, that would have been a 131 entry. And I did get several thank yous. I don't get to thank myself because I didn't take it. But it went to 234. That's, you know, a huge percentage gain in one day. I'm going to watch it again tomorrow because it closed fairly strong. So that one goes in my notes. PTIE. Writing these down as I'm going. CGC I'm going to put on watch tomorrow for the reasons I just gave. So it's another pot stock, and it's the one that actually has the stake taken in it from Constellation Brands. TIS I already talked about, and TRUE. Writing these down, and TRUE I'm going to put on Bounce Watch. Okay, so that is my entire list so far, and then I go into my stock screener, you know, that shows me unusual action from today. I'll kind of give you a brief summary of what my scans are. I'm not going to go into every detail of my scans, but I'll share some ideas of how I scan for stocks here real quick. Gotta wait for the software to open here. So one scan I run every night, and I'll give you the parameters here, and you can choose your price, you know, minimum price and maximum price of stocks that you like to trade. I've chosen average 50-day moving average volume, at least 600,000, so I can weed out all the really thin stocks. And then I'm choosing stocks that have been down 4 days in a row, at least minimum of 4 days in a row. And today, the price went down at least 5% or more. So basically, that's hunting for stocks that are really beaten up over the last 4 days, and maybe even more so today, because today has to be a 5% or bigger day. So you can find stocks that are kind of accelerating to the downside. It's kind of a fun scan to run. Thanks, Chris. All right, so, and I'll just rip through, Micron actually shows on this, up on this one, MU, and then I'll just glance at the chart. And if it's, you know, really something that's accelerating into support, it's kind of interesting. Just a quick glance at MU. It did lose the 200-day today. It does have some support at 45. So that's one that you could throw on a chart, say if this gets downside intraday shape tomorrow into 45, I might be interested in looking for an intraday reversal. Again, I have to really like something to put it on my watch list. So I'm not going to go into every one of these. I'll just glance at them. WTTR is another one that getting down near that 12 area. You can see the bounce back here from below 12. Might be worth watching if it takes out 12 on intraday shape tomorrow. Excuse me. There's one that's accelerating, IAG. I believe that's a gold miner, and I think GLD just getting decimated, gold and silver. So I don't generally play the miners, but a lot of them will come up. FCX, KCG are all showing up. I'm not going to go in. I'm going to try to avoid the gold stocks and just see GEVO's just always been a crap stock. Although we have had some good trades in it this year. APRN, I'm hearing news right now. I got to turn that volume up a little bit. And sometimes if I'm doing this in after hours and I hear Benzinga squawk something like this Blue Apron, somebody just reported a 20-something% stake. That's how you can find a potential gap play tomorrow. I'm not going to do it. I hate that stock too, but I'm not really seeing anything great on this. There's a beaten up stock, Opera. I think that's the browser, Opera, if I'm not mistaken. Anything that's a new issue like that hitting new lows, you can always put on Bounce Watch. Which makes me think, well, I'm going to check Arlo. We have Arlo on watch today. It's a tough trader anyway. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing too compelling here. PBD. There's another relatively new issue. So again, I thought this might spit out some more. I'll also open up a scan that just looks for stocks. In other words, they don't have to be down 4 days in a row. This one just brings up stocks that are really beaten up today. And if you guys know me at all, you know, sometimes a stock that just had one ugly, nasty day can give you a nice bounce the next day, because on an intraday basis, shorts get a hold of a stock every now and then, and they just relentless, right? And you can't catch a bounce at all. But then the next day, you see it bounce. And I used to try to catch bounces in stocks like that as the day was unfolding, and then and just kept, you know, small loss, small loss, small loss, and then the next day I'd watch it bounce. That's what this scam was born out of. I'm trying to find stuff like that. Weight Watchers is a little bit interesting, just because it's fallen from 90 down to basically 70 in about a week, and the 200-day is right there. So that's something that you might want to put on a bounce watch, especially if it hits the 200-day tomorrow. Oh, STZ, I was hoping that would pierce 200 today. I was going to maybe take a trade in that, but it didn't quite get there. JD, I already talked about. So I don't know. I'm not finding anything I love here either. I think I might put Weight Watchers. Oh, WTW, sorry. WTW. I'm going to leave it alone. And then I'm telling, my lists are generally small right now because the market's so dead. I'm going to go to a big mover today scan, and you see TIS shows up. It was already on my list. BOXL. That's worth watching. I'm going to put that on my watch list. BO. By the way, these are much more fun. When you tune into these are much more fun when I am drinking. Okay, so the reason, I mean, this was a big mover back here, another big mover here, and it's really done nothing since, but it's coming out of kind of a nice tight range, and so it might have a follow-through day in it tomorrow. Again, I don't generally love stuff that a big volume day is 743,000, but I do think BOXL is worth having on watch. Also, as I'm babbling and looking at some stocks here, if you have any suggestions, hey, this one looks great. I had something on my watch list from yesterday, the day before, just due to a suggestion from somebody while I was doing this, so that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. Yeah, it's dead out there. I mean, my scans aren't really bringing up much. Some days my big volume, big mover scan will bring up like 20 stocks, and that's when the market's kind of hot. And then that same scan in August dead session will bring up like 5, right? And then it'll be surprising if I like one of the 5 even. Another gap play that ended up closing red. I'm telling you that sellers are killing these gaps right now. Should say they're killing it on these gaps. Anybody know what spiked TNXP today? I'm not sure if you're trying to be funny, Bjorn. I'm kind of thinking you are, but I could be wrong. There's a lot of people who love HMNY out there, or love to trade it for some reason. I don't know anybody that loves it anymore. Well, the shorts probably love it. Anybody know what spiked this TNXP? Did it actually have news? I figured it was. I'm going to glance at FinViz real quick and just see if it had any intraday news. $8.1 million. In the float. August 15th, we're presented Phase 3 Honor Phase 2 at East study results in a poster presentation. The Military Health System Research Symposium, and I don't know what the date of that is, so I don't know if that's what spiked it or not. That might be worth watching, though. I think I'm just going to end up having a small list going into tomorrow. EKSO, another strong day. Wow. Also, I said this Turkey at TUR and TKC are both worth watching on an intraday basis. If news comes out that they're going to release that pastor, I think you might get a really nice spike in this TUR and TKC. Cron is one that I've always found tough to trade, CRON, but it's also another pot stock worth watching. And that's all I have. Let me go to one more scan, and then I'll share with you the last thing I generally do before I stop. AGN, Boston Scientific. That one's probably worth watching. A nice little high volume break out of a range today with another catalyst above. But not much. Then what I do is I'll go to the giant, what I call giant mover scan, and then I'll just go back and check yesterday and the day before. So this is going to show me stocks that had big moves yesterday, and then I glance at them. And this is one of the most powerful scans, if I have to give you what I think is a powerful way to scan for stocks, is to look for stuff that is big mind, a lot of stocks that had a big move 2 or 3 days ago, right? And then have kind of flagged or pulled back into support. That's a great way. If you want to just build a watch list of a few stocks, to me, that would be my biggest suggestion. Anyway, having said that, THST isn't even remotely interesting to me. And some of this requires looking at a bunch of charts and then having your experience from what works and what doesn't kind of kick in. But so there's nothing compelling there. So I will go with that was yesterday. Now I'll go back to Monday and look at some of these high volume movers, DBD. And I quickly glance and see if any of them are interesting. That one's a little bit interesting to me, but it only traded 234,000. Yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. XBIO already talked about. XBIO could be on Bounce Watch. I've got a small list, so I could. I'm actually going to see because it had this big move a couple sessions ago on big volume. If it does trade in a narrow range tomorrow for an hour or so, and then light up the new high sticker, you could get that crowd. Hey, here goes XBIO again, right? So I don't love it because it's basically round trip from where it started. But for the reason I just gave you, I do think it's worth having on watch. So XBIO makes the list. RSLS, I have a feeling this is a no deal. Yep. ABIL and CVM. CVM is a little bit interesting to me. It had the pop. Sellers came in and it's kind of turned right back up. But generally, it trades a very narrow range on any given day. I'm going back to Friday now. See if it spits out any big movers from Friday that are now forming a nice chart. MDLY just chopping sideways. WOW. Some of you might find that a little bit interesting, right? They had the breakout. And it's kind of, I don't want to say flagging, but it's kind of testing the breakout area there, the 8-day. By the way, yeah, look at this PVG. This right here sums up the entire market right now, right? Hey, nice breakout. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. That right there, that just sums up the entire market. Abercrombie and Fitch also. ANF. Nice breakout. Look at that. No, it's not. I mean, this is the goofy market we're in. So I've seen on Twitter and StockTwits and people in the middle of this low volume summer blowing up their accounts. And I said this a million times. There's no reason to. There's no reason to. You got to trade small. See if I can find this real quick. Can you see that? That's my equity curve from January 1st this year till right now. And you can tell by looking at that. This has not been an easy year. I got a green dot. I've got a new high for the year again. And these aren't days. Each one of these little ticks isn't a day. They're trades, right? So you could have 2 or 3 green dots in the same days, just so you know. But, this is I've been doing this a long time. And this screen isn't me bragging. This screen is me showing you that it's not been easy, right? I'm grinding it higher, but it has not been easy. Anyway, let's see. I got to get a new chair. AMPE is really nothing interesting there. CRMD, wow, ABI. I like to check in on my former penny stock runners, and none of them are interesting either. And I'm going to go back one more day, and then I'm done. So this wasn't that painful, was it? Check that one. Let's see. Oh, no, I don't know if let me try that again. I might not have hit go. Yeah, let's try that again. BEL. Again, that's kind of interesting, right? The breakout and topping tail, but now it's kind of flagging right below the whole number. Let's see. Yesterday it hit 16. Today it hit 1595. Glance at the weekly, monthly. And then I like to go to 5-minute candles and just to get a feel. Yeah, I mean, this is what it looked like intraday. So, I mean, to me, that's just not, it's untradeable. Are most of you trying to do what I'm saying? Are most of you trying to be careful this summer? Trade small, if at all. I mean, it's just not it's not the summer to get involved. By the way, PMTS. A lot of people were trading this one the other day. It went from 210 to 270, right? You think that would get some attention? 3 or 4 days later, it traded 16,000 shares today. Nobody's trading. I'm telling you, like, nobody's trading. It's really important to recognize that. All right, that's it. Again, next time I do this, I'll try to put out a notice ahead of time. Are there any questions before I meander off? Because I've still got to jump off here and make the actual video. I just, I don't know. This gets lonely sometimes after working all day and then in the evening having to, build a watch list for the next day. So I try to do it with company every now and then. So are there any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about? I know if you were in chat today, I went completely off the rails today. I'm fully aware of that. I don't know what the hell happened. I think I just got incredibly bored. But next time I'm gonna schedule one. Say, hey, at 6 o'clock or whatever, and I will have like 3 crowns in me by the time you log in, something like that. And then hopefully I'll buy drinks for everyone too. I don't care. So we'll all have fun. All right, no questions, comments, complaints? Minimum daily volume that you would trade? Well, there can be a like if you mean from this overnight list, I'm generally, most of my filters that I've created, looking for what happened today, most of my filters have, like a minimum daily volume of it, like 400 or 500,000. So I can filter out stuff that trades, 20,000 shares a day. So you always want to put a parameter like that if you're doing overnight filters, right? Or end of day filters, what do you want to call it? But I would also note that there could be a stock that traded 36,000 shares yesterday that came out with some sort of cancer cure news, even if it's in mice, in the morning, and it could trade 400,000 before the opening bell. So even though its average volume might be 30,000 shares a day, I'll throw that out the window and I will be trading it if I get a setup. So hopefully I answered your question there. Yeah, I will. We're going to plan one. Tomorrow's Thursday, so probably next week we'll plan one, and I'll probably go off. I was actually scared I was going to go off the rails here today in this, even though I'm sober, because today I got so bored. Next thing I know, I'm playing Guns N' Roses over the microphone, and I never do that. But anyway, any other questions? If not, I mean, I think it's cool that y'all popped in again. I don't know how much educational value is involved in watching me build a watch list, but again, I also, I'm hoping these will morph into Q&A sessions as well, as people maybe get more comfortable with me, especially people that aren't in the chat and realize I'm pretty harmless. All right, then I'm going to quit babbling. I'm going to go. I've still got to go make a video and put that out there. So have a great night, everyone. See y'all tomorrow.